Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the Marion City Council meeting for Thursday, October 17th, 2019. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I see we have some Boy Scouts here. Maybe you can lead us in the pledge. Okay? Come on up here.
Pressure.
Oh, just right there. Yep, up front here. That's good. You're good.
Go ahead.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Please be seated. Roll call, please.
Mr. Draper, Ms. Atkins.
Here.
Mr. Jensen.
Here.
Mayor Abu-Osley.
Here.
Mr. Sternad.
Here.
Mr. Brandt.
Here.
Ms. Cadelia. Here.
Thank you. At this time, we have a moment of silence. Thank you. First on our agenda for this evening, we have a public forum that is available for public comment on any topic listed on the agenda, but not associated with a public hearing. If there's anyone here who wanted to address the council on any item that is on the agenda but not related to a public hearing, this would be the time to do that. And at the end of the meeting, we'll have another public forum session for anything else that is not on the agenda. So please come forward. Welcome. State your name and address, and feel free to address the council.
Good evening. I'm Sydney Lovell, 123 5th Street Southeast in Cedar Rapids. I'm with ITC Midwest. I just came tonight. First of all, Mayor, Council, thank you for just allowing me to say a few words. This is just in reference to the last minutes that I heard of your work session. I'm not sure exactly when that was, a couple of days ago. And I just wanted to answer or clarify a few things and allow you guys to ask me some questions as well. First of all, I know there was a question about whether or not we were constructing currently, and we are not. I do know that there's a lot of stuff out there. We've got assets out there using it pretty much as a lay down area right now. That is it. There's no construction going on as far as that substation. As far as the planning that was involved with this, I'm not sure, and I apologize, I'm not sure what I can and cannot share, but have you been able to look at the rendering? Okay, so were you able to look at that prior to tonight, or you had that on Tuesday? Okay, so I just want you to know that that was a professional rendering done with appropriate grading of that substation area. So there really was, we had a landscape architect working internally at ITC with a firm in order to really truly get you a visual perspective of Highway 100 and 44th. So we really did, I think, went to quite a bit of work to make sure that we were at least giving a good perspective of what that intersection might look like in the future when it is done. The other substations that were mentioned, the one significant difference between the substations that you were able to preview, those being Alliance substations, they are distribution stations and not transmission stations, and the size of the transmission substation out on 144th would be drastically different than what you are seeing with the Alliance sub. So I just want that noted, that the scope of the size of our assets inside that wall would look considerably different than one that you're going to see in a residential area. So I just wanted to share those points because I felt like those were maybe some of the questions. We did go into a lot of detail. It was tabled first with the Planning and Zoning Commission. We brought back and did that rendering, and then after we got it approved, then went to the Board of Adjustments. So we do feel we took some time, knowing full well that this is a very important piece of the entrance to Marion, and we want you all to know that we want it to look good, and we really feel that the blending is a more appropriate word to use than screening with this particular project, because as you noted, nothing's going to cover it up, nothing is going to fully screen it, but what would blend in with what is currently there, being kind of a naturalist environment, we felt that this was the way to go, and we really hoped that's the way everybody else felt too. So that's all I wanted to share. If there are questions, I absolutely will answer them.
You mentioned there's no construction going on.
Correct.
What's the timeline for that? Just out of curiosity.
In all honesty, I can't give you an exact date, but I know I'm just going to say a few years out for that.
Other questions? Yes, Mr.
ahead.
Jensen.
Look at that picture. The one
Yes.
we saw Tuesday was
Yeah.
pretty
May I,
small.
is it okay if I,
Yeah.
You might just put it on the
She doesn't know that projector's there.
projector right there. Yeah.
yeah, oh, it's been a while.
That's
since
all right. We love our overheads.
Thank you.
Okay, so this would be 44th,
Okay.
and this is 100. And, the landscape. There was question about the maturity of the landscape. You're looking right now, I believe, what you're looking at and the heights that you're looking at now of those particular trees, this is 3 to 5 years. I know at one point there were some absolute concerns about it taking 10 to 15 years to grow. That is we plan on planting mature shrubs and trees right off the get-go so that we have that automatic buffer. But that is, I did want to clarify that as well, that we definitely plan to take this and start off with some mature green material, plant material. So this truly, and I'm not an architect, and I'm certainly not a design engineer, but this really truly is taking into consideration the extravagant grading that will be done in that area, so that this is all, you'll notice it's a little sunken down off of the actual highway. This is all because all of the gradings were taking into consideration when they designed this for us.
Other questions?
Anything left unanswered that we want to make sure that you folks are in the know with regards to details about this, and that's why I came tonight.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Yes,
you.
yes.
I'll just make a comment. I thank you for that clarification.
problem.
I know I was probably one of the most criticals with that.
We get it.
Being the stewards of our land, we do want that entrance to look nice. I'm very familiar with that area there, and that cutaway grade does resemble a drastic change from what's actually out there. There's a house that resides on the top of that hill out there, but I think we all share in the same concern on what it looks like today. Landscaping is always nice, but unfortunately with landscaping, it does require maintenance as well too. Yep. So, and we appreciate that. So thank you for coming forward and clarifying a lot of that for us, because we know it's going to look good today. We want it to look good 50 years from now too.
And I absolutely want to just say to that, we hire landscape firms weekly. They are out at our properties. It's not acceptable for us to have, obviously when you do something this extravagant, you're going to have things that don't make it, but it is not our intention to ever have that be something that any passerby, or let alone the community of Marion, not enjoying looking at what you can of a substation, the perimeter of a substation. That will be on us, and we will absolutely take that as far as we need to make sure you guys know we'll take care of it.
Sure, great, thank you, and thank you for sharing your concerns with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else to address the council on any item that is on the agenda but not part of a public hearing? Okay. We'll move on to the next part of the agenda, which is the consent agenda. Mr. Sternad?
Great. Were there any concerns with any of the items? I haven't heard from anybody. I'm removing or pulling any of the items. Okay. Seeing none at this particular time, Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as follows. This will be items number A1 through F2, resolutions number 28026 through 28037.
Second.
It has been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Sternad and seconded by Council Member Gadela to approve the consent agenda as presented, items A1 through F1, resolutions 28026 through 28037. Discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved. For the next section, I will pass the gavel to Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move to approve the consent agenda with Mayor Abwasali's abstention from voting and discussion as follows. Items B1 through E2, resolutions 28038 through 28041.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda with Mayor Abwasali's abstention from voting and discussion as follows. This will be items B1 through E2, resolutions number 28038 through 28041. Any discussion on those items? Seeing none, all those in favor of the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion passes. Turn the meeting back over to the mayor.
Your Honor, I move to approve resolution number 28042, approving service order number Q-000115330 with Involta LLC for data center services for traffic signal network in the amount of $71,687.04 for 36 months.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 28042, approving service order with Involta LLC for data center services in the amount of $71,687.04 for 36 months. Any discussion? All those in favor of resolution number 28042, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 28043, approving an amendment to Memorandum of Understanding with Seven Hills East LLC.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 28043, approving an amendment to the Memorandum of Understanding with Seven Hills LLC. Discussion? All those in favor of resolution number 28043, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. The motion is approved.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 28044, approving fiscal year 20 cooperative agreement with the Iowa Civil Rights Commission for intake and resolution of civil rights complaints falling under the Iowa Civil Rights Act.
Second.
It has been moved by Councilmember Jensen, seconded by Councilmember Atkins, to approve resolution number 28044, approving fiscal year 20 cooperative agreement with the Iowa Civil Rights Commission for intake and resolution of civil rights complaints falling under the Iowa Civil Rights Act. Discussion?
I have a
Yes,
quick
sir.
question. I'm just curious, is that the dollar amount that they're offering up, has that changed from what there used to be as far as
No,
Total
I
dollar
give you the same budgeted amount as last year.
the state's offering the same amount? Okay,
Yep.
Just
So
curious.
it's just a change in procedure.
gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Okay, good question. Other discussion? All those in favor of resolution number 28044, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved.
Mayor, I move to receive, file, discuss, and concur with TAC report regarding a request for a speed limit decrease and a Children at Play sign on Parkview Drive. This is submitted by Beth Stafford at 1090 Parkview Drive.
Second.
It has been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Sternad and seconded by Councilmember Gadela to approve the motion, receiving and filing, discussing and concurring with the Traffic Advisory Committee report regarding a request for speed limit decrease and the Children at Play signs on Parkview Drive. Discussion. And the recommendation is to deny the requests. Discussion? So a vote in favor of the motion would concur with the TAC report. We'll vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 28045, approving the final site development plan for the Holiday Inn Express and Suites for property located at 5993 Carlson Way, Water Rock LLC.
Okay. Excuse me, I need to turn over the gavel on this item to Mayor Pro Tem. So,
Thank you, Your Honor. Tom, is there anything you would like to add to this one, sir?
did somebody second it?
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess we need a second.
I'll say.
Okay. It has been, we apologize here. It has been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 28045, approving the final the final site development plan for the Holiday Inn Express and Suites for property located at 5993 Carlson Way. This will be Water Rock LLC.
Yes, City Council, I provided a memo today just to kind of outline some back history on the use of EFIS and some of the design standards and requirements across the community, and then specifically related to the site. You can see in there that they're at 40% EFIS, and we did provide some of the conversation and justification for how we got to where we are. And so I wanted to provide that, and so at this point, it's just more about if you have questions for us on that. There were some concerns on Tuesday, so I just want to be able to provide that history for you.
Okay, thank you. We'll bring that back up to the council here for discussion. Ms. Goodell.
Yeah, so I think this is I appreciate the memo and the history on this, and I did like the third paragraph from the end, talked about the compromise of perhaps requiring the EFIS as just a trim material not to exceed the 25%, which is better than 40%. I don't know that I would still be in favor of that, but I think it's something we should discuss, and I would just remind council that we TIFed this for $9.6 million in that area, and they submitted the design standards to us that excluded EFIS. And if the hotel's complete by July 1st of 2021, they'll receive a 30% hotel motel tax rebate through 2025. So I feel like we're already being really generous there, and we should reach higher and hold to our high standards for a gateway area where we have a lot of projects and activity going on. That's all I got.
Thank you for that. We appreciate that. Any other questions or comments or discussion on that? We had tried to do a little bit of a comparison. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, but is that not EFIS that's being removed from the current Hy-Vee located on 151 out there during the remodel? Is that the same product that we're comparing it to? Very good. So again, this is kind of like a styrofoam material with a thin screed or setting of a concrete or plaster on the outside. Okay. Mr. Jensen?
Just a the hotel that was going to be there before was the Country Inn and Suites.
Mm-hmm.
What did we have? I don't recall this issue being there with that design. So is this coming about because of a Holiday Inn saying this is their standard look, or what's driving the higher percentage of EFIS on this particular hotel?
So the Country Inn and Suites was, as I recall, was more the fiber cement board, which would be similar to what Phil High's building has on it with its panelized fiber cement board. There was a lot of that on the building, which is not EFIS. EFIS is a different product.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't believe there was much EFIS at all on that Country Inn and Suites. And I think in the memo I had indicated that there was. I don't think there was any. It was primarily the fiber cement boards. So the EFIS has been reintroduced to the area in this project. If you recall, the Quick Star project had a trim EFIS, and staff did make a pretty big point at that meeting about the use of EFIS, and there was a lot of conversation about it. and ultimately the council chose to move forward. But it was primarily a trim material. They use it in the dormers.
Yeah.
But from a staff perspective, I mean, without any guidelines, once that's approved product, and it's very difficult for us to say you can't use it when it's been approved once. So when they brought the original hotel in, I think a majority of it was EFS all the way down. So the conversation internally was we need to see more of a mix of materials. So that's when the brick was brought around the base, elevated, got the EFS off the first floor, that's generally where there's an issue with it, because if it's down near the ground where maintenance is being, can chip and peel and such. So they did raise it up, and this is where they landed on that. And so it's a mix of materials. Clearly, if there's a desire to move in a different direction, it's at the council's prerogative. So what I had done in that memo was basically went back and said, what are we doing in other places? And in most areas where we have design standards, EFS is a trim material. So that's where I came up with that would be consistent in other areas that we use where EFS is used. So I was just trying to provide some parameters community-wide.
So your opinion is if we allow it up to 25%, that's a percentage that would equate to using EFS as a trim material and not a major material?
Yeah. Was it 20 or 25? I think
25 is what you had in your letter.
And that's what we've done in other places. That was what we were based on. That's excluding windows too. So that's.
Well, I think one of the differences I see between this building and the Quick Star, one is the size of the building. Okay, this building is going to stand out, and so I'm not looking at it on a percentage basis because Quick Star is a little different type of building on how it was set up and constructed versus this one here. So, I would certainly agree with Renee that 40% is certainly too high. Whether 25% is appropriate or not, I'm certainly in favor of driving the 40% down to some lower level. Okay. So I don't know what everybody else, what their opinion is, but I would certainly agree to 25% or less.
Mr. Brandt, go ahead, please.
What would you say in your professional opinion, the Quick Star is percentage-wise of EFS?
Oh boy.
I mean, under 25?
I would think it's under 25 because it's primarily, I would think it's under 25.
So Steve's point about the size of the building, I agree with, and I was going to point that out also. So I think I would be in favor of 25 or under, not 40%, especially on a larger building like this.
Renee, please go ahead.
Yep. So, in looking at the design guide materials, the fiber cement, which Tom mentioned, is one of the approved materials, metal panels, fiber cement, cultured stone, and brick. There's obviously a certain look that we're trying to achieve there, and the other hotel had it. We did set a precedent by voting to allow the Quick Star to do that, but just because it's happened once doesn't mean that we are strong-armed into doing it again, and I would advocate that we hold to the standards that they submitted to us when we gave that money for how we want that area to look. I just feel very strongly that we're going to have a lot of other construction coming in there, and if we approve this again and make another exception, why would anybody even adhere to the design standards? Because then each project we're peeling away from them. So the 25% is better, but I'm voting in favor of they need to stick with the materials that they pointed out that they would.
And you would be, just for clarification, would be stating to go back to the original agreement, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, very good. Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure we're all clear on that. I as well, too. I think I'll just chime in here at a moment's notice as well, too. I think, yes, regardless of the outcome of the previous deal, it is us, and it will be what those years in the future will look like based on the precedents that we set here today. So I as well would go back to that original contract. Mr. Brandt, I know you had some follow-up there, please. Go ahead.
I'm just curious, the reasoning behind the use of it. Is it a lower cost material?
I would guess, but that's what we've found in the past. There are some building construction benefits that developers will tell you because they insulate with it as well, but I'm certainly not going to sell EFS to you.
So off, the main floor is brick, or the first floor is brick.
Correct.
And everything above in the light brown, the white, light brown, and red is all around the windows, obviously, not the windows. But
The highlighted area that kind of sticks up a little bit, that's some stone panels.
but then the rest of it above that is all EVIS.
Yeah.
Quick question.
Yes,
So
Mr.
on the other hotel, Town Place Suites, how much EFS approximately is in that hotel?
So that's an interesting question. They used an alternative product, which is an EFS product, for the brick, but they're individual pieces that are placed like brick.
Okay.
So that was, so you could say there's a lot of EFS on that, but it's individually placed brick. And so there was a conversation early on about wanting to do this brick product, and there were a lot of questions about it, and because they were going to do that or thin set, and they wanted to do the EFS and EFS brick. It's an individually placed, mortared in brick, for all intents and purposes. And that we came back and had that conversation at the council level at that time. However, about 3/4 of the way through, there was a desire to go to a stamped EFS printed graphic design of brick, and that was not supported at all. So imagine what is EFS here with just like a stamped illustration of brick, and so that was not acceptable at all. So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In some of the other applications that we see it in town, it is evident when there's water damage and it stains and the lack of attention that goes to it. Those are all aesthetics that I think we're all concerned with. And obviously the printing, it is, at the end of the day, it is still the same product. If the council were to vote a no, or if this was a unanimous in one way or the other, would that modify and halt the approval of this thing going forward, or is there the developer at this time willing to carve part of this out moving forward?
I guess, I don't know. There may be somebody in the audience representing the developer. What I would suggest is just moving forward and recommending approval based on whatever your
Adherence to the design standards?
Yeah, however you would like to move it forward.
Right.
If there's a desire to do something other than that, they can, come back or whatever. But
Sure.
That way, at least you have. I will say, I know one of the reasons we're here and they're trying to get this moved forward. They'd like to get footings in the ground, I think, this fall. So.
Sure. We certainly don't want to stand in the way of progress, but at the same token, we want to make sure we're doing it correctly. So I want to thank them for their interest in our community and continue to work forward. So at this point, if somebody would, I would entertain a motion to amend this particular item if there's interest for that.
I got it.
Okay. We've got a first or a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. So at this particular point, resolution number 28045 has a motion to amend and a second. So at this point, we'll have further discussion as to if anybody would like to go ahead and label that with the amendment to that. I'll entertain that.
Okay. Just the language that we need to use?
Correct.
Or okay.
Sure.
So I would amend this 28045 to approve the final site development plan for the Holiday Inn Express and Suites for property located at 5993 Carlson Way, amending it so that it adheres completely to the design standards for that. Is it Squaw Creek Crossing? Yes.
Second.
It has been first and seconded to amend resolution number 28045, approving the final site development plan for the Holiday Inn Express and Suites for property located at 5993 Carlson Way, with the amendment to show back to the original design standards originally proposed. Any further discussion on that item? Yes.
I just want to say that this has nothing to do, I'm super excited. It's a Holiday Inn Express Suites. I think this is a great asset to the community. I hope they can get it going this fall, and I think we're all excited about the project.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Brandt?
Are there any other design standards that they were not following from the original, other than this?
No, that was
The only thing?
Yeah.
Any other discussion on the amended motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the amended Resolution 28045, please signify by saying aye. Oh, pardon me.
Excuse me. Right now, you're voting to amend. You're not voting on the amended resolution.
That is correct. The amended.
We have to amend it first.
You're not voting on the
Amended.
amended. You're voting on the motion to amend.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
We'll vote on it twice.
So this will be the voting to amend Resolution 28045. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. One abstention. And we have one abstention from that. Thank you. So the amended motion passes, and so now we'll take it back to the resolution of the original, or excuse me, back to resolution, the amended resolution now of 28045. Any further discussion on that particular item? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the amended resolution 28045 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Resolution passes. Thank you, sir, and thank you for that. We'll pass that meeting back over to the mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Renee?
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 28046, approving Marion South Substation, First Edition preliminary plat for property located north of Highway 100 and west of 44th Street in Marion, Iowa, and this is on behalf of ITC Midwest LLC.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 28046, approving Marion South Substation First Edition preliminary plat for the property located north of Highway 100 west of 44th Street. Discussion? Yes.
Just real quick, I'll just throw this out there, that there's going to be a lot of open space, it seems like, behind it that won't be forest or wooded. Might be a great place for some pollinators to be planted. I know we're pushing hard for pollinators in Marion. That might be a great location for you guys to plant some pollinators instead.
Excellent.
It would just be an open, empty grass. It would look nice, too.
Great idea.
That's all.
Okay.
Less maintenance.
Definitely less maintenance, yeah.
Other discussion? Okay. We'll vote. All those in favor of resolution number 28046, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion is approved.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 28047, approving the Timberline Manufacturing Commercial First Edition Final Plat and Memorandum of Agreement for property located at 1029 Blair's Ferry Road.
Second.
It's
Sorry. Excuse me. Let you finish.
We're good.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 28047, approving Timberline Manufacturing Commercial First Edition Final Plat and the Memorandum of Agreement for the property at 1029 Blair's Ferry Road. Discussion? Okay, all those in favor of resolution number 28047, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Motion is approved.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 28048, approving change in the name of Alburnett Road between Boyson Road and Central Avenue to Central Avenue and renaming Central Avenue west of 5th Street to 12th Avenue, and this is by the City of Marion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 28048, approving the change of the name of Alburnett Road between Boyson Road and Central Avenue to Central Avenue, and renaming Central Avenue west of 5th Street to 12th Avenue. Discussion. What's the timeline for implementing the change, out of curiosity?
Soon. We'll work with the owners up there, but we do want to get it done
Sure.
quickly. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Other discussion? All those in favor of resolution number 28048, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion is approved.
Mayor, I move to approve ordinance number 19-25, approving and rezoning request from R5 moderate density multiple family residential to PDR planned development residential located at 356 and 376 9th Street and Lot 4, Block 42, Original Town, Marion, Iowa. Seven Hills East, LLC, final consideration.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the final consideration of ordinance number 19-25, rezoning from R5 moderate density multiple family residential to PDR planned development residential for the property at 356 and 376 9th Street and Lot 4, Block 42, Original Town of Marion. Discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approving ordinance number 19-25, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. The motion is approved. Congratulations, Mr. Hill. Mr. Brandt?
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 28049, approving purchase of property described on the attached Exhibit A, locally known as 2350 Fifth Avenue, from Barron Rentals LLC in the amount of $7,450.90. Anybody?
The motion going to die for lack
Second.
of a second?
Second, sorry. I was laughing at the 90 cents.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 28049, approving the purchase of property described and locally known as 2350 Fifth Avenue from Barron Rentals LLC in the amount of $7,450. Discussion? Can you brief us on this?
So, as you recall, the council was presented a proposal for a purchase agreement on these properties. It's been a couple months back, several as a matter of fact, and we've worked with the property owners and negotiated that acquisition, and the price, as indicated, is consistent with what the council and the owner had talked about at that point. The property is this, if you look, I know my arrow is very difficult to see, but there's a long, skinny storage garage facility here, and it's really just taken off the back portion of this property. There's a plat attached to the memo that you received that illustrates it, but I know it's difficult to understand out of context. You can start to see here, and I think this is just an important picture to see that last phase of the corridor. You can see where 22nd Street's going to come up, and then 6th Avenue continue east. So this is the TWG property, which just happened to close this afternoon at about 4:50, which was good. You can see that the right-of-way is being carved out as we move. This is the former Lacey property that was part of the TWG, and you can see the piece that's been carved off there. You'll see a similar piece here come through, and ultimately this property and a thinner piece that'll come off this property will be some of the last two pieces that will form that last piece of right-of-way for the construction of the roadway. So it's a pretty small piece. As you see, the price was about $7,500. So,
Okay.
and we're trying. We've had the purchase agreements. We wanted to get in front of the council. We're starting to get to the closing, so we need the resolutions that'll approve the purchase agreements for closing. So.
Any further discussion on this? Questions?
No, I just personally would like to just say it's encouraging to see that these things are moving through, and we appreciate all of the efforts that the owners are working with the city and trying to help us get this build out through there. So I think it's time to, we want to extend those thank yous. Certainly a lot easier to work with than against. So.
Other discussion? All those in favor of resolution number 28049, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion is approved.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 28050, approving purchase of property described on the attached Exhibit A, locally known as 2201 7th Ave, from QA Properties LLC in the amount of $66,746.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 28050, approving the purchase of property at 2201 7th Avenue from Keyway Properties LLC in the amount of $66,746. The references to the exhibits in the resolution, is that, well, because they're attached to the actual resolution, is that why there's a reference to the exhibit? Or, I mean, I don't see them attached here. So, I mean,
Oh, in the resolution?
yeah,
No, they weren't attached to it. I have those.
okay. But
yeah.
the intent is that they would be attached to the resolution?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so that's why we have the reference to the resolution, to the exhibits in the resolution itself. Okay.
So this property, I know this is a little difficult to see. QA Properties is Todd Culver locally is the owner of QA. So this is Kentucky Fried Chicken. I don't know. I realize this is difficult. I just don't have a way to better illustrate it. QA owns all the way over to O'Reilly Autos, so it's a substantial piece of property. They own all the way to 6th, and then along the 6th Avenue corridor, they used to own all the way over to 19th, and we acquired some of the property that they own, that they had acquired from King's Material. So that was a separate transaction because of the individualized parcel. We've been working with Mr. Culver to get the last piece that we need from him, and it kind of extends. You can see this starts to curve. If you'll notice in the illustration associated with the property, it curves down and comes out in a long, skinny kind of triangular piece. And so all that property is been combined into one piece, and so that's why it's got the address of 7th Avenue as well. So that's the last piece on the north side for the corridor that we need.
So this is on the north side of 6th Avenue?
Correct. It has a 7th Avenue address because
It's part of a bigger property that's,
yeah.
yeah.
Mr. Culver owns a substantial piece of the 7th Avenue real estate in that area. It's all addressed off one parcel at this point.
Okay.
So I know that is confusing.
Yeah.
So
Got it. No, I understand.
with this purchase and the prior one that was just approved, where does that put us in terms of having all the right-of-way to finish the corridor?
So there are 5 parcels that need to be acquired remaining. Next Wednesday, we have a condemnation hearing for the Balf property, which is some of this property in here, a portion of this parcel, and this entire parcel. So there's 2 parcels of the 5. And then further east, Mr. Lacey, who we acquired the property from here, purchased the property directly east upon acquisition. And so we have to obtain a piece off the back side of that. And then there's another small piece owned by a woman, Miss Caldemeyer, and it's a real small piece. I think it's valued at a couple $1,000. And so these 2 have chosen not to proceed. We've as well. They don't want to work with us on a purchase of it, and so we're just moving forward to condemnation. So Balf's condemnation hearing is next Wednesday. These 2 are in December, I think the 4th and the 18th. And then the last piece, we need this. This is the Ensley property, Marion Sheet Metal. So the extension of the project currently at 19th Street is here, if you've been out lately. The road takes a dip, and that's why you see some of the curvatures. This is the last piece. It's a house owned, it's a rental house owned by Mr. Ensley. And so I've been working with him, and we've proceeded down the road of getting a hearing set for condemnation, but him and I are still talking about the details, and it would be great if we could come to some resolution outside of condemnation, but I don't want it to hold up the project, so we're moving forward. So that's the last. So actually, Mr. Ensley's piece is the only one that doesn't have a date for a hearing at this point. So.
All right, any discussion on Resolution 28050? Okay, we'll vote. All those in favor of resolution number 28050, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion is approved. At this time, we have a public forum, which is time set aside for comments from the public on any item that was not covered under the agenda this evening. If there's anyone who would like to address the council, please come forward at this time.
How you doing?
Welcome, Mr.
Like a
Nealon.
bad penny, Your Honor, I'm back again.
Well, you're always welcome to
Well, thank you.
to be
Your
here and
Honor,
address the council.
members of the city council, members of the staff,
Yep.
city staff, city
Thank-
manager.
Oh,
I'm
Mr.
here today
Nealon?
to talk about the same subject, which was the landfill.
you
Yes,
can't-
sir.
if
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to just add, you're always welcome to come and address the council. I know you were here a couple of meetings ago and you talked at length and gave us a lot of information, a lot of good information. So I would just ask that if, you give us new information tonight if possible.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Sure, okay.
First, yeah, the new information I have since I've seen you last is I've had the opportunity to talk with the Land Solid Agency Board this Tuesday, and they weren't nearly as friendly as y'all are. I mean, at least you smile. Those guys were looking in the sky and looking left and right. Also, I've learned that they're very smart. Okay, and the reason I say that is that a request by one of our newspapers to the landfill to ask for information, and the landfill came back with the report that well, we have approximately 25, maybe 30 more years of the existing landfill. And one of the things that I took from the response was that there is a plan for handling garbage after the landfill reaches capacity at this time. Their only thing at this time would be possibly to waste transfer, okay? However, the reason I say they're very smart is that since they have 25 to 30 years time available, it's a great time to approach City Council. And the reason I say that is that there wouldn't be a lot of controversy now since we're continuing to use the landfill for another 25 years. And if a City Council at this time or in the near future were to come to an agreement with them, and I know as the previous mayor who wrote the contract that you don't have to go to the citizens of Marion to ask them for permission to grant the authority for them to use or to open another cell. So my whole purpose of approaching everybody, to include the Gazette, the Marion Times, and so on, is to allow the citizens of Marion to come to you at this time and say, look, don't do it. It would be easy to do right now. If someone were to come, I would simply point out that every city, Marion, Hiawatha, San Francisco, New York, wherever, have projects that they need money for, okay? I'm concerned about the future. I'm concerned, and I like, Lon and I have differences of opinion on business only, not personal, right, Lon? Okay. I've always said that Lon does not have any problem accepting money, okay? So I can understand that, and I can understand his influence with the city council. If they say the landfill will have another 25 years, if you say no now, I would expect them to come back in 10 years at another city council and ask for the same thing. I pointed out to them that they had a a blue ribbon committee for Blue Stem when I was on it to look for sites for a landfill. The Blue Stem put that away and said, what we want to do is go with the one off Highway 30, and they lost all of that, as I brought out in the last meeting. I think it's important to know that the citizens of Marion know that you want to back them now. I know all of you have a copy of the contract, because Lon indicated that he put it in your packet. And if you have, I know you had a whole lot to read. The only thing I wanted to point out is that on page 5, paragraph 7, it says the agency will aggressively support waste diversion activities, siting of a new landfill, use of waste transfer station, and use of alternate waste disposal technologies, all prior to the conclusion of the life of the described landfill. So they have 25 more years to do that. I think we have somebody in the city services or possibly engineer who's working on a process that maybe we can just put them out of business altogether, which I would really like to see in the next 25 years. But a couple things I'd like to point out. When was the last time you had our representative on the board come before you and make a presentation of what's going on out there? One thing about having a member of the city council on that board is that they're here every week and that they can make a presentation or keep you up to date on what's happening. So, Your Honor, I would ask you to consider asking a city council member to be a member of that committee rather than, quote, a citizen. No matter how much I know the citizens that we have on there is a qualified engineer, you don't have to be a qualified engineer to sit on that committee. And I would like to see maybe someone in a city directly involved. And to be honest with you, I said the other day that I'm 79 and maybe looking down over the hill. I think I'll hang around for the next 25 years and come back every time I hear something that says waste management or waste whatever and see how y'all are doing or who replaces you. I think you're doing a great job, truly, as a city council. Your Honor, you know I support you in your run for mayor, so I'd like to take I don't know if you can respond to me now or not, but can I ask you personally now where you stand? I know you don't have a proposal in front of you, but where you stand now as an individual on giving anything or saying yes to a proposal of any kind from waste management.
I think our city attorney just looked at me.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
No, sorry, this is off agenda, and it would be inappropriate for the council to
Can I get on the
deliberate.
agenda then for next year?
That may be.
Your Honor, that's all. That's facetious. I'm sorry. But I do. I was here last city council meeting. I expressed to you my concerns. I expressed to them again. I believe that y'all have good heads on your shoulders. I want you to know, if the words get out that you say yes, I'm gonna come down. I'll come here. I'll be foaming at the mouth. I want to express to you, when I was in Special Forces, I was a demolition specialist. I made bombs. I'm just joking. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Anyone else address the council on any item that's not on the agenda? Okay, we'll move on to council discussion. Ms. Cadillo?
Okay, thank you. I wanted to just thank Tom again for the report and the history on what we voted on tonight. And there was a recommendation made at the bottom that I would ask council to entertain. It was a request. I think we should request a presentation on the design standards just so we can ID any gaps and ensure consistency and cohesion across the city. The second goal would be to formalize the design review process citywide. So I think that would be a good thing to do in the near future since this seems to come up on big projects. And it was recommended, so I think it's a good one.
Thank you.
Keeper, that's all I got.
Randy?
Yes, I would like to, I don't know if it's appropriate at this time, but I'll ask if it's got to be brought up on our agenda. But I've had the opportunity to, I know it's been brought up by other council members, but as we take a look at some of these gaps and things that we have, one of the things that I would like to entertain is that we get a monthly report in our monthly packets from the FBO, from the airport. I don't think that requires a formal ask. We could certainly ask if there's support here at the council. That's something that we talked about. But I would like it to get some legs underneath it and move forward with it. I just think it's pertinent for us to get some of that information back. They don't necessarily need to present it, but at least we can identify and see and witness and watch what is the activity that's going out there. I do know that as this airport moves forward, we're going to be looking at CIP items, and I think we just got to be able to validate the activities going out there. I know we've got the P&N Flight School out there, which certainly takes up a lot of the activity out there and the usage of the airport. So I think it would be good for us to see those. I've been sitting in on that committee for the last 2 or 3 months now and witnessing some of the conversations that are going back and forth. And I think it's probably very, very important for us to see that activity level. There's been some internal discussions as to what constitutes a usage of the airport. I know there's been some conversation amongst the members there and doing some comparison with our sister cities. And, I just think it's good information. I think it helps us validate, again, the expenditures that we're going to be looking for going out there. But I just ask that if we could formally go back and ask that, and, that could be something that would be brought back from the committee. And I know the committee itself may be asking for the feedback from the FBO. So, Tom, anything you'd like to add to that, or any council members like to weigh in on that request of mine specifically?
I'd just say that I've been speaking with the Steve Morton, who's kind of running the Lux Air out there, and he's willing to do that, and it shouldn't be any problem. So, cool. Okay. I'd also just I know there were some questions regarding the website and the airport as well. I was just speaking with the communications director, Amber Bissinger, and she was indicating that with the rollout of the new website is going to be soon. So we'd likely kind of prepare that and then roll that out with the new website instead of trying to recreate it now and then download it all and then take it back up. So I think that's after the first of the year is being proposed to be rolled out. So just I know there were some questions about why that wasn't being updated and such. And at this point, it would be a lot to update it and then transfer everything. So if that's all right with the council, we would just kind of work towards bringing that up to speed after the first of the year.
Sure. No, I think that would be good. And I just know as that becomes more of an item in our budget. Oops.
Sorry to interrupt, Councilmember Sternad. I'm just not overly comfortable with the idea of the council deliberating on it and giving a general assent or anything. I'm okay with the comments that you're making and you specifically are directing to staff. I just would be uncomfortable with turning it over to a council-wide discussion.
Sure. Nope, understood. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Anything else for you?
Nope, that's it.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Well, I'll just second Randy's comment. We had a little bit of discussion about that as well, and I think just from the fact when we're going through the rezoning of the airport, that we had to, I'll say, demand and request input from the Airport Commission relating to the zoning, the fact that was not coming already on their own accord, I think we need to take a look at making sure they understand their responsibilities and become a little more active. Maybe some of the people on the board need to be changed. Maybe some of them need to turn over. The other thing I would also support is John's recommendation, which is to have some conversation in some way, shape, or form with our landfill solid waste representative, Mr. Terry Chu. So there's probably people up here that don't know Terry, probably wouldn't recognize him if he walked in the door. And the fact that we are starting to have more conversation about this, I think it might be imminent that we should ask Mr. Chu to join us at some time and give us his comments and perspectives.
Thank you. Colette?
I don't have anything.
Okay. I wasn't here for the for Police Chief Kitzmiller's swearing-in ceremony, so I want to congratulate him, welcome him to the team. Look forward to working with you. And also, since the last meeting I attended, Timberline Manufacturing had their ribbon cutting. I'm looking forward to touring that facility next week. It's really a great addition to the community to have this new manufacturing facility that's going to employ 300 plus people. And would just note that within the last month or so, 7 new businesses have opened in the uptown. So we've got some great momentum. Let's keep the momentum going. That's all I have for my comments. So we do have a motion for a closed session.
Mayor, I make a motion to adjourn to closed session regarding land acquisition as permitted under Section 21.5(1)J of the Code of Iowa.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adjourn to closed session regarding land acquisition as permitted under Section 21.5(1)J of the Code of Iowa. May we have the legal opinion, please?
Yes, Your Honor. I have reviewed the subject material and do deem it appropriate to discuss in closed session pursuant to Iowa Code Section 21.5 sub 1 sub J, and recommend that the council reconvene in closed session accordingly.
Okay, before we vote, any discussion? We'll take roll call. Yes.
Ms. Atkins?
Yes.
Mr. Jensen?
Yes.
Mayor Abu-Osley?
Yes.
Mr. Sternad?
Yes.
Mr. Brandt?
Yes.
Ms. Gedalia?
Yes.
Okay, we're adjourned to closed session, and we will return to open session upon the conclusion of the closed session. So if anybody wants to hang around, you're welcome to.